finished school at a very young age. I was not eligible to have an ID at the age of 16. I had to wait up until I was 18 years old for me to acquire one so that I can go to work. So 2 years not doing anything, that's when I was exposed to the life of crime. So I started off now from doing business robberies to heist jobs, and most criminals actually don't admit that yes, they are successful. Now you hear it from me. Yes, I was successful. Because in spite of the fact that I've done tons of robberies, I was only caught once, trial once, and sentenced once. Now, actually, Jen, it was so fascinating 2 weeks ago that I was brought back to a life that I have somehow closed that chapter. So 2 weeks ago, I did a documentary for West Bank. They also do insurance and finance cars. And they wanted to do an insert about my last crime. And my last crime took place actually here in Sea Point in Main Road. And I was chased from Sea Point right up until here in town. That's when I got arrested. And I spent 11 years in prison. So today, I have one of my co-founders who also spent time with me. His name is Z. And it's actually his first time that he'll be hearing me speak. Because most of the time now he's not traveling with me. But just to cut the story short, so I started school, as I said, age 4, finished matric age 16, had no aspirations to go to university. Started now from doing business robberies to heist jobs. When I was about to turn 19, I got arrested and went to prison for 11 years. And for me, prison was one of the most profound experience that it will even die with me. Because that's where I also started my own business, in prison. People often don't believe that you can start a business in prison. Now, in spite of the fact that I was smuggling marijuana, it was a business. Because I had 4 prison officials who were on my payroll. For 4 years, I waited trial. I never ate prison food. I ate all the KFCs and the Nandos. I had everything figured out from production to supply chain, product and market. That's one of the reasons why I always tell people that if you're looking for best entrepreneurs, go source them in prison. Because the 3 important qualities that makes a successful entrepreneur, those guys possess those qualities naturally. 1, if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, you have to know how to hustle. And in prison, we have the best hustlers. 2, you must have the courage to take risks. And in prison, we have the best risk takers. 3, you must know how to network. And in prison, we have the best networkers. It's just that now they choose the wrong product, which is crime. Now, part of my session today, or part of my presentation today, was to share with you some of the insights. Because sometimes I get so fascinated now to hear all these international VCs and angel investors saying that they are serial entrepreneurs. And sometimes I often wonder if whether or not now they were once serial rapists, serial murderers, or serial armed robbers. Now, let me share with you some of the insights, that you get to learn in prison and also now in criminal life. Firstly, in prison, you develop such a very powerful psychology. A psychology that you can never find in any of the psychology books. You can go to the best universities in the world. Just 2 years ago, 2015, Cambridge University approached me and my colleague to develop a leadership program based on our leadership experiences in prison, which for me was fascinating. Now, apart from that, one of the type of psychology that now you would ever find in prison is the ability to live with 1,200 prisoners. Prisoners who are in prison for different crimes, who have a different sets of values and principles, who come from different backgrounds, but to learn how to live with them. Because in prison, it's never about you. It's never about you or the next person. It's about how do you feed yourself into such an environment? How do you align the spaces and the circumstances with who you are? A simple analogy. If I have a problem with you in prison, There's no way that I can take your name and put it to the next transfer list to another prison. It means that now I'll still be challenged by you for the next 5 years or 10 years that I'll be serving time here. But in the gift in prison, it's never about me posing the questions to you. It's about me taking those questions in and fixing me. A simple analogy. Let's assume everyone, when they wake up from bed in the morning, they start at the bathroom rather than the kitchen to make coffee. If you wake up every morning, you go to your bathroom, you stand in front of the mirror, who do you see? You. If there is a boil or a paste or a scratch somewhere in your face, where do you fix? Do you fix the mirror or you fix you? So prison provides those great insights. Otherwise, you have to make a conscious decision of having to make a choice. A choice that one day you might leave those prison walls with some of your body parts not attached to you, or you make a choice in fixing yourself. Now, that's one of the part of the insights. Now, let me quickly share something very amazing. I always share with people that I've never seen people that are so creative and innovative as criminals. Now Dan, since you are the MC for tonight, you will be my victim. Now let's assume Dan buys a house, happy, has a new home, rejoice, throws a big party like this one, and we all go and celebrate. Now Sihle comes in and breaking into Dan's house. What does Dan do? Dan secures the house, puts on burglar bars. But what Dan does not know is that indirectly, Dan is giving me task number 2. How to break into his house with burglar bars. Once I have this figured out, I come in and expose his weaknesses. And then guess what happens? He starts putting on the alarm systems, motion sensors. For me, that's task number 3. It's kind of like every system that he puts in place stimulates me to think creatively, innovatively, and even more. And then once I have this figured out, I come in and expose his weaknesses. And then guess what happens? I hope there are no ADT guys here. And then guess what happens? He hires the armed response guys. And for me, that's task number 4. Because now I have to figure out in terms of how many times does these guys patrol that vicinity, and if it happens that an alarm system goes off, what is their response time? If they take 5 minutes to get into Den, it means that I have 4 minutes. Now that's power. That's untapped talent. That's one of the creative and the very powerful mindset that is never unleashed. These are the type of individuals that you find in these townships. And they are looking for better opportunities now to better themselves. And part of the work that Quirky Theatre does is to create that platform, using the means of technology now to be able now to inspire these human beings, to channel such a mindset and creativity for good this time. One of the reasons why we have been successful is because now we are serial entrepreneurs. Because we were once serial robbers. Now that's quite fascinating. Most people always tell me, Sihle, what are your visions? What are your dreams? What are your ambitions? And it's true what Dan said. My business model is simple. My business model is simple. I'm in the business of selling home. But also, is to create a platform now that enable now and activate those kids to see life in 3D. My 3D, it's about dreaming different dreams. Simple as that. It's about helping those kids in the townships to see different dreams. Because there's this notion and belief in these townships that just because now they come from disadvantaged backgrounds, their end destination in this life is somehow controlled by fate. whereby they don't realize that within them, they have a brand new weapon called choice. They can choose differently. It means that the choices that they make today will determine that end destination, not fate. That's why in my presentation, you've never heard me speaking about poor communities. Because I don't believe that people in the township are poor. Even politicians now have developed this new terminology, called it the poorest of the poor. Because they tell me, if you tell a group of people that they are poor, do you really know what really happens? Firstly, they succumb to that. Secondly, they identify with that. And then the danger is when they act that out. Now let's be realistic. Me, I'm a realist. Let's be real. If you come to the townships from Thursdays to Sundays, the taverns are booming. A 750 ml quart of beer is 14.50, and a loaf of bread is 11 rand. So are black people poor just because they are not wealthy or they cannot afford, or poor in their thinking? For me, it's prioritization. It's priorities. Now, I'm one person that also now don't believe in this whole myth and notion of peer pressure. There's nothing called peer pressure. Because when you say that if someone does something just because they're influenced by certain things or by someone, it means that you take away their self-power. You take away responsibility and accountability. Peer pressure is another human being's invention. Same applies when it comes to this famous American singer called Beyonce, who invented bootylicious because of the curves. Now we find it in dictionary. Now we need to be realistic in terms of what type of words do we use in terms of inspiring this great nation of ours. Do we use words that breaks people apart? That design a system of interconnectedness? Or now do we create a platform or we use words that inspire people? And I'm a firm believer in terms of a rainbow nation. It's not because now, if I was older or if I was in prison at the time that Nelson Mandela has been, maybe I would have kind of like been influenced by his energy. But I always believe that each and every one of us has a role to play. Each and every one of us. Sometimes we always think that now NGOs need money. NGOs don't need money. Sometimes they need support, sometimes they need connections. Sometimes they need mentorship, support. Sometimes it's all about collaborations and partnerships. It's all about opening up your company to allow one kid and change that kid's life. Let me tell you a story if you provide an opportunity for a township kid. There is a young boy who was part of our training program. He got an opportunity now to work for some of the companies that now we are partnered with. And his life changed completely. Do you know what he did with his first salary? I mean, this is a young township kid who has never had an opportunity before. Here now he comes, he earns an internship salary of 3,000 rand, 4,000 rand, 500 rand, 5,000 rand. Do you know what he did? He bought cement and stones and with an intention now to build a third room for his family. Because they stay in a two-room house, 9 people. So you can imagine. It means that now when you create such opportunities, you get to impact even more other people within that family. They start to see life differently. They start believing differently. The type of work that we do is just a cherry on top. But our main focus as an organization is to instill new dreams, is to help them see life differently. That's what happened in my lifetime being in prison. Because in prison, you don't have to worry about food, you don't have to worry about toiletries, you don't have to worry about clothing, because everything is provided for you. But the gift in prison is having ample time to reflect. Make this decision today, change it tomorrow, make something else, change it tomorrow. You have ample time. We have this belief system that the only way to eradicate crime in South Africa is to send people to prison. Let me tell you the truth. Prisons are breeding ground for more criminal activities. The reason why we have such a high reoffending rate in South Africa is because now there are no effective rehabilitation programs to rehabilitate offenders in prison. I mean, if such a crisis is also now a crisis in such a powerhouse country like the US, you can imagine who we are in South Africa. Because the recidivism rate in the US is over 50%, over 40% in UK. Australia have the same problems. In South Africa, it's over 80%. So it means that we need to develop a new mindset, a new thinking. The same methodology, the same ideation, the same mindset that is applicable when it comes to HIV prevention, it should be applicable when it comes to crime too. Prevention is better than cure. Because now if you wait for someone to commit a crime, to find themselves in an environment of vulnerability that they have to look for better opportunities for them now to be able to put bread on the table, then you have big problems. Because now you have to offer therapeutic support to the victim and then offer rehabilitation program now to the perpetrator. And that's disaster. We already have these disasters in these townships. From crime to alcohol to drug abuse to gangsterism. It means that now we need to develop a new strategy. But what is it that we are doing as corporates? What is it that we are doing as a startup community? Do we create these opportunities now so that now we can be able now to activate and enable now these kids in the townships? Because that township kid, in the next 10 years, you might not know that they'll be the one becoming your first client. It's only been 10 years when Steve Jobs now introduced Apple iPhone. And you can imagine the potential that now the iPhone has had. Now, at least you would find such a small margin of people in these townships now owning a smartphone. So it means that now, at the time that Steve Jobs now created such a handset, he never thought that now even underprivileged township kids would own such a device. But today they do. So in your line of businesses, you have to think in terms of who are your consumers in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years. Are you creating a platform in terms of enabling them now to be able now to access such services? It means that we need to have a different mindset, how we do business today. And I'm happy that today, at least when we leave this space, I would have made some of you some of the criminals. But please, think like one, don't act like one. That's the golden rule. Lastly, before I close off, sometimes I often wonder, Sihle, what is it that you would love to carry out there? Because I mean, it's often said that, only a cat has 9 lives. But today I have an opportunity or the privilege now to live my 3rd life. Being shot at once, being stabbed at in the chest once. But I was provided the opportunity now to live for the 3rd time. And when I was in prison, I realized that I've always lived my life in taking from other people. Now it's my opportunity now to give back. Because I have been offered the opportunity to do so. And sometimes you will never find purpose. No one ever finds purpose in life. One creates one. It's not that these blue skies, there are not blue skies. This white roof is going to open up, then you will find the purpose. You have to create one. It means that now you have to make yourself available. It means that now you have to create opportunities. You don't find opportunities. Now, one of the things that I want to leave you today, when I was in prison, one of the first books that I read was a book by a Brazilian author called Paulo. The book's name was called The Alchemist. And inside the book, there was a little note from an unknown author, which reads that if you are looking for a miracle in life and you can't find one, be that miracle for other people. And I've dedicated my life since then in being the miracle for other people. Thank you.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, Sihle Tshabalala. Sihle, you have a quite extraordinary story, you had a remarkable journey, and you followed a path that very, very few people would have, where you find yourself